should do. I was going to say, you should do the Jimmy Kimmel. We get the guests to go.
Welcome to another episode of Rec Talk. So today we've got the very, very famous on LinkedIn Mark Hopkins. Mark, you're the face behind Thomas Lee Recruitment.
That's right.
And the podcast is It Starts With You.
It starts with you, yeah.
Everybody's best friend on LinkedIn, isn't it?
Thank you. Scary that.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, though, you're one of the like founding pillars of recruitment, aren't you?
Well, yeah. Me, Mitch Sullivan,
James Reed,
Duke Gurney's. No. Yeah, it's. I think like you said before this podcast, one of the first people to do video on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Related video. And I didn't really believe that at first until I looked at it many moons ago and I thought, actually, who is the other people on LinkedIn that did video at the time? And
but there was basically no one, was there? I mean, do you remember that the expo that we went to, and we ended up bumping into you at the expo.
Yeah.
And then at the time we were walking around and there was like the guys from was it Interview or Odro, one of the video sites?
It was Odro.
Possibly.
There was another one, wasn't it? Hunted as well.
Hunted,
Yeah, there was a few of them, but you were a celebrity there, mate. You were like people
So
remember people stopping.
Well, you know why, though, don't you? I mean, remember like when I remember when all the big agencies were like, "No, we need to do more video content on LinkedIn," and then like you started seeing these like really uncomfortable recruitment consultants so close to the camera. I remember one specifically. She was stood outside like a pond or something,
and
it was just so much background noise. And she's like, "Hi, I'm here. Client visit," and it was like, "What are you?" Yeah. And I was like, "Did you just think, yeah, that looks sick? I'll put that out." Like, what was that all about?
That pond looked like a slurry pit where crap just come out of the building next to it.
And it got no disrespect to her because she'd obviously, like, you could tell her director or whatever would be like, no, you need to. You're good on camera. You're like, yeah. And like she's just sort of going, "Oh, okay, here I am in front of a story."
There was at the same time as well, and they were freezing cold outside, wearing coats, and they had hoods on and everything, and they were trying to make it funny.
Yeah.
And it was awkwardly funny, the other way.
People were laughing at them rather than laughing with us. Yeah. I used to like the ones. Do you remember the videos where it'd be like some guy just reading a brief? So I would like to introduce myself.
A fantastic opportunity. Everyone's a fantastic.
We are recruiting for an accountant who can do, and then the big shopping list comes in, which obviously Mitch Sullivan was dancing all over. and then he'd be like, "So get in touch, please." And then they all could walk towards the camera to turn it off.
Edit. Come on.
Do we do the millennial pause? Have you heard of that?
No, I've not heard of that.
The millennial pause, right? So if you look at like most millennials,
sounds like a Star Wars thing.
No. So just to get millennial pause up, it's a real thing. So you basically us millennials have this like a second or half a second pause from when we start recording, and then we go, "Hi everyone," it's whereas like the Gen Z literally just press record and jump straight into their videos, and like it's all over TikTok. It was all over TikTok. Like there were people just taking the piss out of like, look at these millennials with their millennial pauses. Like, what are you thinking about? Just tell us what you want to say.
I'm Gen X though, so I was born in '79.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So we do this weird thing when we get cameras. We like look at it, going, "What the hell am I saying now?" Oh yeah, we start saying it.
Do you know, my son's birthday on Saturday. He's 13 now, right? I've got a 13-year-old son. That's scary, right? And he refers to us as 1900s, late 1900s.
I've heard that. Yeah, that makes me.
That's horrible, isn't it? That's horrible.
You guys were born in the late 1900s.
I've got a 10-year-old and a 2-year-old, so I dread the thing with the 2-year-olds.
It's like when the first time he said it, I was like, "You fucking what?" And then he was like, "Well, yeah, you're from the late 1900s." I was like, "No, heck." And then I was like, "Oh man, that's actually."
Yeah, so you're not wrong. I just don't like how you're putting it. Yeah.
Well, a friend of mine was saying when she was in Sainsbury's, I think she was buying alcohol, and the person said, "Can I see your ID?" And she pulled out a driving license, and she went, "That's fine." She said, "You didn't read it?" "No, I saw the 19. That was enough."
It's horrible, isn't it? It's horrible. Yeah.
Oh man.
So for all of you like 2000s recruiters out there, like just it hurts us. Yeah. It hurts us in the soul. That's what happens. It hurts us in the soul.
This is your future. You know what they say? Yeah, you hit 40 and you go, "I want to start a podcast."
Yeah. 40 is the new 18.
That's what happened to me 4 years ago. That's what happened.
So tell us about the It Starts With You. What's the...
It originally started, like I say, about 4 years ago. In 2018, I had a couple of friends like Sarah Potter and Kira Senti and a couple of other guys as well. And I just thought, I know, let's do a podcast. Let's just chat to all my recruiter friends. I even invited you guys, if you remember, and you said, no, you've got bigger plans.
Yeah, and here you are in the big... I don't remember that invite, if I'm being perfectly honest.
You may have sent it to me, and I may have been like, yeah.
No, it was a verbal invite, it wasn't a recruiter.
Oh, okay, yeah, fine. Yeah.
And it was like a throwaway. And I must have done in the first year about 15, 20 podcasts.
Yeah.
And I did about the same again.
Were they video podcasts or Facebook?
They were all Anchor at the time.
Yeah.
Then the pandemic hit, and I kind of flipped from the Anchor podcast to the YouTube podcast because everyone was doing Zoom. It was quite fashionable. People wanted to see.
Yeah.
So I think I've done about 10 of them since 2020, always the end of 2021. I didn't do any last year purely because I was trying to focus on the business. I don't know if you guys felt it last year. It was backs against the wall. And yeah, so this year I'm resurrecting it and bringing it back. So this year what I'm looking to do with it, and I did it kind of in the 21 version of it, is come away from the recruitment world, come away from my recruitment mates and look at other things. So in the there's a few really good ones in there. The newbies, which are a family which basically quit their jobs, did a camper van and travelled around Europe during COVID and had a child during that time. And since then, if you follow them on YouTube, a phenomenal family they are. They've bought a farm in Portugal. They still travel the world. Their son Crusoe, his name is. He's a lovely little boy. He's basically more travel than any of us put together. I think they wanted to get him to 50 countries, I think, before he was 2. I think it was, and I think they've achieved that. So he's well travelled now. He's got a little baby brother now, and they want to do the same thing.
I hate to be that guy, but I mean, do you remember where you were before you were 2?
So no, probably just in West Wales.
Young Crusoe is not going to have any recollection of any of these.
No.
Word and wonderful, like
He's not YouTube series.
He's not going to walk around at 14 and be like, I've been here before.
Yeah. When I was 2, I was in West Wales wondering when I could take my cagoule off, but it was just one of those things.
Justin, get up. What's a cagoule?
Yeah. Listen, you're talking to...
It's a raincoat.
You're talking to 2 brown guys who like... Yeah. Well, English is our first language. It's also like...
When did you first wear a cagoule?
This is a true story, right? So, my basketball coach was a Welsh woman called Samantha Rock.
Oh, I know. Yeah, she's from Nottingham.
You all know, right? Yeah. At this point, I was so sheltered. I had no idea what a Welsh accent was, right?
Really?
I'd never come across a Welsh accent ever, right? And I'm there, and like we're running drills and stuff, and she's talking.
Was this in the late 1900s?
This was actually early 00. No, it was actually. Yeah, it would have been 99. Yeah,
so literally
as late as it can be. And she started shouting and blah 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 blah, and I'm sat there and I'm like, mate, why does Miss Rook sound Indian? What are you on about? And I was like, she sounds like my mum. Like, what the fuck?
She sounds like she's from Delhi.
And then he was like, mate, that's a Welsh accent. And I went home. Like, there's a time before YouTube. Yeah. And I'm like, get home. I'm like, Welsh accent. How do I find Welsh people? I need to know if this is true. I need to verify this fact.
It's true though, because a lot of people do Welsh impression.
Yeah,
it always ends up being
his wife's
my wife.
Yeah, your wife does an Irish accent. It sounds Indian.
Yeah, she has one accent, right? And she's like, listen to my Jamaican accent, and then she'll end up sounding like my nan. But then, do you ever see that? Whose show was it? I think it was like James Corden or like one of the late shows in America.
Yeah,
Riz Ahmed was on there. And because he's quite good at accents, and he was doing like, he was saying about the transition between like, you could do Indian to Welsh, you could do like Jamaican into, I can't remember what it was, but he was transitioning. In there he was like, yeah, Indian to Welsh is so easy because you just start off and then you just go deeper and deeper and deeper, and before you know it, you sound like you're from Bombay. Or Mumbai now, sorry. This I know I'm old.
Or Pontypridd.
Yeah. So there you go. Right. Okay. So
one of the things that you were quite sort of thing with, obviously, because you're almost one of the pioneers, weren't you, of like LinkedIn videos and stuff like that, and like going back to that conversation of where we were at the expo, your personal brand really stood out at that point, and personal brand is something that you kind of had a thing about, don't you? But
the difficult thing was at the time as well, it was within the recruitment industry, so outside the industry it was even harder to push that. So I think it was for me, because people knew who I was, obviously from video and a few other things I did on LinkedIn. I think it was respected within the industry that people are pushing themselves out. And we kind of, I say Mitch Sullivan, we know who he is, we know what he does, and because he's really good at pushing that personal brand and what he does, and so forth. With me, it was like no one knew who I was, no one really cared. what I
No, but
did.
you were the guy who did the videos. But you became
But
you were
that's
the guy
what
who did the
I was looking
videos.
for, that
Yeah.
one
And you had
thing.
people reaching out to you and everything, didn't you? Like, oh, can you show me how to do it? What software do you use? What do you do here? What do you do there?
Every day. At one point, when this first year I did it was really bad, and then I think it just. This is the truth, by the way. I started watching makeup tutorials on YouTube to see what they were doing because they were always in front of the camera.
Yeah,
There was no
yeah.
cut scenes to anything else or anything like that. And there were YouTubers, but they were very shouty YouTubers talking about games and stuff. But even then, this is 2016, 2017. Even then, there wasn't the type of YouTubers we see today, like Mr. Beast and stuff like that. They were around, but they weren't.
Then hit that, yeah.
So back then,
And
it
that
was
was
all
the
these
more-
little prank shows and stuff like that, weren't
That's
it? Or
it,
they go,
yeah.
oh, I'm going to get lock myself in an abandoned factory or whatever.
This is it. The only people that give advice on camera were people showing you how to do makeup, or people showing you how to do your hair, or
So was that your thing then? Was it you wanted to give advice?
I wanted to give better advice to candidates and especially clients because there was no videos out there at the time telling clients how to interview, how to do a proper bloody conversation with a recruiter. I even went down that route and how to sift through CVs properly and just give a better advice. But as a kind of a byproduct of that, I was giving candidates advice. So every time I wanted to give clients advice, I give candidates advice. So
Well, they go hand in hand, don't they? They go hand in hand. But like again, you got to think about the rationale behind that. We are of that kind of, whilst the late 1900s, if you will, right?
Yeah.
We worked for big corporate, big recruiter, right? And we were always told, focus. The client is the person you're selling to.
Client is
you
king.
don't give them client is king.
Well, client was always
Don't
a
give
king,
them any
and candidate
advice.
was
Don't
down,
give them any advice. Don't send interview prep packs out to them.
Yeah.
Don't do anything for them more than supply candidates because you don't want them to go and recruit for themselves. And you're like, this is
Which
ridiculous.
is absolute bullshit.
Yeah.
It's a massive crock shit, yeah.
And a lot of the times as well, when you speak to clients, it's not the fact that they need to use agencies, they want to use agencies because they can't be bothered to do all that
Bingo.
drudging themselves.
Mate, how many
Bingo.
times have you picked up a role, right, and it's a bread and butter role, and you think,
This yourself.
just
Yeah,
And
why aren't
also
you
it's-
doing this yourself?
yeah, but then you look at it and you think, oh man, now I've got to go through that entire process of calling through my network, calling through job boards and advertising the job and all that sort of stuff. You think, oh god. And for us, it's great because we at the end of it, it's like, okay, fine, we get the fee and we get the result at the end of it. But for a client, it's having to redo the stuff that they've already done, which is you've had somebody who's either left the business or moved internally. Now you've got to retrain this person. You've got to go through that entire process all over again, which is why clients absolutely hate recruitment.
Oh, they absolutely despise it. I've got one client that will call me up to talk about recruitment on a Friday afternoon when he's driving home from the office, like a 100-mile drive. And he called me up and we talk about recruitment. We just chew the fat about recruitment. And I'm kind of, what's going on? How is this done? And he was still giving me jobs at the end of that. Because I've told him how to do it 100 times.
Yeah.
No, can you find me a sales guy? I said, oh yeah, sure, that's fine. Because I think it's more than the confidence build.
But we do that though, don't we? Though, like you think about anything like decorating your house. Can you do it yourself? Yes, of course you can.
Give it a good go.
I can hang wallpaper. I can do skirting boards and stuff. But would I rather pay somebody who does it day in day out, is going to do it a damn sight quicker than me, and more importantly, I can have a moan at if it's not quite right. Like if I wallpaper in a bedroom, my wife comes in and she's like, this looks shit. Like I've got no one else to turn to, right? It's my fault. I've got to rectify that. If I've outsourced that out to somebody and that person comes in and my wife comes in and goes, this is crap, or you've hired the wrong candidate, the client has the option to turn around and be like, yeah, Mark, you got me the wrong candidate. It's that. Yeah, do you know what I mean? That's why outsource works.
But this is one of the things with when I was making those videos, off the back of that, where clients were making those bad mistakes. I was trying to rectify that by saying, hey guys, this is a better way of doing it. So I used to write blogs as well on top of that. But it was, and this is the thing, at the time, we weren't seeing anyone doing this. We were seeing this client is king. Candidates are
a dime a dozen. Before the labour shortage that we're now in.
I know, look at it now.
Yeah.
There was just not enough, in my opinion, there was not enough personality, I think is right, about the recruitment industry.
But then, because that again, we're from that background, right? Big recruiter. they don't want you to have personality.
No.
They don't. You know, how much grief did me and you used to get when we were like can't say the name.
Insert big recruitment agency.
Yeah.
Check out our LinkedIn profile, find out.
We'll beep it out afterwards. When we were at Michael Page, we weren't allowed to put out our shit. We weren't allowed to like put out things that we thought were funny or comment things that. It was all around. No, you only talk about your vacancy, and then you tell everybody on the floor, and they'll all like and share it in the little pods.
Yeah.
And you're just like, this is
goes
bollocks.
nowhere.
Yeah, goes nowhere. Yeah.
The other issue as well, though, is that a lot of recruiters, right from the outset, are kind of taught not to be 100% transparent. Like, I say to clients and candidates all the time, which is like, listen, I'm going to fill this job for you because you're going to pay me at the end of it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a job centre. We're not doing it for free. We're going to get paid for it. And because we're going to get paid for doing it, we're going to work hard for you.
I shouldn't say this out loud, but I am writing my memoirs of recruitment. I'm trying to write.
That's a Rec Talk exclusive, right?
Exclusive.
We'll have that.
What I'm trying to do is write a book, but I don't know how to write a book yet. So what I'm doing is
ChatGPT, mate.
Yeah, write this fucking book for me. I'm trying to get all my memories of 18 years of recruitment.
Yeah.
Working for the big boys. I'm not trying to mention any names, but the key people I'm trying to mention in there without mentioning names is that the idiots that taught me that, by the way, Sean. You know, the ones that said, it's all, be selfish, be arrogant, be this, be that, and then they were trying to teach you that to be horrid little shit.
Yeah.
In recruitment. And when I remember the day I left the last company I worked for, I won't mention their name.
Rhymes with peed, doesn't it?
No, that was before that. They were all right. I'll tell you about them in a bit. They were all right. The last company was a small, kind of 3 or 4 site agency across the Midlands. They know who they are. And the day I left, I went on jury service. And I remember having a personality on jury service. I don't know if anyone's ever been on jury service.
Not yet.
They wouldn't invite us.
Basically, you're having a laugh with a group of people you've never met before. It's a bit like LinkedIn. Okay, and literally, and then they put you in a room, and then you have to judge someone that's just murdered someone. And or ran a red light. Or ran a red light. And then you come back and then you have a laugh again. It's the weirdest place ever. And in that moment, because I was always wanting to start my own business, one or two of them there had started their own business, and they said, you got it, Mark, just do it, just start the business. And literally that January, that was it. I kicked it off and it all went.
They're good at that though. The big agencies, well, the multi-site agencies and stuff as well. They're good at making you feel like it's shit out there.
Yeah, there's
it's
no
horrible out there.
This little
you don't know what it's like to run a business. Oh, you wouldn't last in the corporate world. And it's like, shut up.
Going back to that big agency that I worked for. I worked for a few big agencies, but the biggest one I worked for were brilliant at training you as a recruiter. So just send you away to a school,
give you all the core skills.
In the middle of nowhere. It's beautiful. You used to go to the pub, get drunk every night. And I used to.
That's a delivery training course, isn't it? That's why they put next to pubs, aren't they?
That's it. They own the pubs. And I used to talk. People from all around the country used to come to this one place, and you have to have a great laugh, learn, and then you walk away and forget all those things you learned because you've got KPIs in front of you.
But also you've got.
And life doesn't work out the way.
No, but you've also got some old school manager that sat there going, no, that's bullshit. That's not how it. This is the real world. This isn't training.
Yeah.
So in the real world, you've got to pick up the yellow pages. You've got to call every man and their dog in there.
That's it.
And in the real world, you've got to work a lead. Send 7 candidates as a shortlist, even though you haven't been engaged. Yeah, true story. This, even though you haven't been engaged on the job, you need to send.
They will engage with us because we are insert big name here.
And that really used to annoy me as well. When I got my first management gig in the big boy, it was like an outpost. It was in Worcester. No one came to us. No one cared.
Were you High Street?
High Street. Lived on the High Street, and there was 2 people there, lovely people. I still speak to them to this day. They're still on my Facebook. Beautiful people. They were just abused by the fact that no one was there to help them. And I threw out the book, and I just went, right, guys, let's do what we know works. So we followed the training, and we followed the psychology, and I was doing a few other things at the time, and it worked. And we stopped doing this bullshit of chasing KPIs and chasing BD calls. We focused on what worked.
But the thing, personal branding plays a massive part in that, right? So we were mates before we got into recruitment. So I went into recruitment, and remember, we say it all the time. I rang him up. It was like a Friday afternoon, and I'm like, mate, we're going to the pub. And he's like, mate, I'm in the dealership. I've got like 15 cars to put away, blah blah blah, and I'm working tomorrow. And I was like, mate, you need to come do this. This is easy. And I was like, well, this is what it is. This is what we do. Blah blah blah. And I'm knocking off. And I'll be home.
You had me sold at Monday to Friday, not 9 to 5.
Nine to 5.
Yeah, and I was like, what sales jobs exist? That don't, you don't have to work at the weekend.
Because up to this point, we were always weekend workers.
Yeah.
So he's like, yeah, son. So we get in, and like it got to a point where Sean was running temp, I was running perm. And we had like an alphabetical split of the ledger because that's how all grown-ups do it. I was just like, this is ridiculous, but fine, all right.
Because everything that started with M, geographically speaking as well, was in your location.
In the same place.
That's what it was like as a manager, cheating in like kindergarten.
Yeah.
When I got my second management job, it was like that. Oh, I have to split it alphabetically. Can't you sort it out between you?
Yeah, can't you guys just look at what you're good at? And like, I can't get in with that client. You'll probably have a better chance.
Yeah.
So you have that one. I'll have this one. No, alphabetical. Yeah. So we managed to carve out about 7 or 8 clients, and literally all of our business would come from those 7 or 8 clients. But we were on site week after week, and like I remember, I put my expense report in, and the manager was like, "No, we keep going to the same places." And I was like, "Ryan, why do you think all my billing keeps coming from the same fucking place?" Like, weirdly, that kind of like balances out, right? And we were running it in such a way where we'd go on site, and the clients would be like laughing and joking with us. We'd walk past all these different candidates that we've placed, wave over,
being labelled as the ant and deck of the recruitment.
Deck, or like, yeah, the boys are here when we go in and just do like mince pie drop-offs and stuff.
Yeah, I used to love those, by the way.
Yeah, and like. And like, we were doing the personal brand thing before that was like a thing, right? That helped because that built our confidence to be like, mate, we can do this for ourselves. We don't need.
When you leave, this is how good your personal brand is. Then, how many of those clients after 6 months? I'm not trying to like pull the wool over anyone's eyes. You do wait after 6 months, come back to you and chat to you.
It took a while. I'll be honest, because of the covenants and stuff. Our biggest, well, I can't speak for you. My biggest win was they closed the office. They closed. They moved completely out of that Cobham Warwick area when we left because nobody was working with them because we were the ones that were getting that business in, and we were gone.
You realise that, yeah?
Yeah, you know what I mean. And they I don't think they felt the void until we'd gone, and they were like,
it takes a month or two.
Shit.
It does take a month or two, and then they start using another agency.
Yeah, of course they do.
I'm in the same relationship here, and then suddenly.
But it is like using a different agency, though, isn't it? So think about it, right? So if you're we leave, you step in as the new manager or the account manager for that particular client. You may as well be a different agency, because the reality is you're a different person. Yeah, you're a completely different person. Your way of recruiting is different. You don't have that same relationship with that particular client, the line manager, whoever. You're having to start it all from scratch.
And taking it back to candidates as well. How many candidates have you spoken to in the last 6 weeks? And 1 or 2 of them would be good for that client. I haven't spoken to anyone. Mm-hmm. So the continuity there of service is stuttered for a good chunk of time.
And I think that's a big testament as well. If you've got clients that you're talking to who are just prepared to call you at like 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night and just talk to you, 100-mile drive home. Even candidates, I'm sure you've got candidates as well that will just keep coming back to you, but like, I've finished my contract, or I've been made redundant. Here's what's
I
going
get
on.
candidates because I do mostly permanent recruitment coming back to me every 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because I've been in business that long.
But your rebate's only 9 weeks. Why don't you just? We don't do that.
We don't. Damn it!
No, but it's just, you know what I find interesting is though, when did the term personal brand become a thing? It pisses me off, right? I've got people like on my LinkedIn who they're like, oh, I work for such and such, and I'm a sales business development manager, blah blah blah, and it's like on a journey to build my personal brand. Shut the fuck up! Like, shut the fuck up! That's not a thing.
So someone accused me of being an influencer the other day, and I actually had to go with him on the message. An influencer.
Don't label me with stupid shit. I
don't like the term personal brand. I just like the fact that I'm just a recruiter talent people. I'm marketing. This is marketing to me.
Exactly.
I think
it's marketing 101, isn't it?
Yeah. This is not.
The issue isn't. I think the issue is the terminology, isn't it? Because for all those guys that are throwing the word personal branding around and just kind of just using it as a kind of a hashtag as such.
Yeah.
They're on the right track in terms of you have to market yourself as kind of what you can deliver and how you deliver it.
Yeah. I mean, marketing myself as an individual by using basically the same terminology as everybody else.
Yeah.
That's the bit that gets. It's like I would never put on like my thing. On a journey to make more profit.
Although that's what every business is
Yeah,
trying
yeah,
to
yeah,
achieve.
but do you know what I mean? So, like, it's
Yeah,
like,
I see,
as a
I think-
salesperson, I'm on a journey to build my personal. Of course you are, because without anybody knowing who the fuck you are, they're going to buy from you. Like, that's like, again, understanding of psychology of sales.
And again, it comes back to that Simon Sinek start with a why.
Yeah.
You know, what you're talking about personal branding is what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So you've got to go
Just telling me that you're asked about personal branding doesn't make you asked
skipped
about
over the most
personal
important part. What are you
But
doing?
again, touching on Simon Sinek, he's got that whole thing nailed on anyway, hasn't he? Because all these people, they tend to be kind of not of the late 1900s. They're of the generation probably after or the one after that, where they want to be at the top of the mountain, but they want to start at the top of the mountain rather than start at the bottom and work their way up to it. Because again, everybody wants to be an overnight influencer. Everybody is doing these weird trends on TikTok where there's like, we just need to be there straight away. Take your branding, for example. You've been putting videos and stuff like that out there for 4 or 5 years. And
4 or 5 years before that, I was writing blogs. And my managers were telling me to take down.
That's mad, isn't it? That is
And
mad.
you think about it, so I was trying to do personal branding long before that.
It was even a thing.
A thing, and people were worried you were doing it. So the people you were working with were stopping you from doing
Well,
it.
that's because they know the minute you walk out the door.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, and this I think every young person needs to understand this.
Yeah.
You are just a number.
Yes.
Doesn't matter how much your boss tells you you're part of the family.
Yeah.
The minute you leave, you will be replaced. Your job will be advertised,
Yeah.
and they know that. So if you're building your own your own fan base, so to speak, or people that know you, like you, trust you,
That's it.
you walk out that door. It doesn't matter who you go and work for, whether it's yourself or whether it's the worst agency out there.
Yeah.
There'll be an element of people looking and going, but I do like him and I do trust what he says.
And that's why you see some of these kids on TikTok losing jobs because they're using their job as the platform
Yeah.
to whatever it is. I've seen some kids working at Tesco's dancing
yeah.
and singing, and that's great. But then the ones which are slacking off their own supermarket
Yeah.
and getting a huge following from it.
But the thing is, it's a case of you almost want to promote individualism, and that's kind of what the big corporates don't like doing, because that's what, again, you look at places like Tesco, Asda and all these, that's why you have a uniform. It's not because they want you to be recognisable, because you put a name badge on to be recognisable, or you could have a high bit or whatever, you can put something on that is
It
very
kind of dims you out.
yeah, of course it, but you put them in a uniform and everything, all of a sudden everything is very kind of military. It's like, no, this is how you behave.
There's no
This is-
individuality.
No, of course not. I remember years and years ago, I used to work at Phones for You, and thinking about it now, I should have let her sack me on the spot, because I was wearing earrings, and she was saying to me, she was like, you can't. Do you remember those days? 2 earrings.
Was it big one?
Big. Oh no, yeah, the big,
Earrings.
like
I had one earring.
butcher. Yeah.
Yeah, I had an earring. I got told to take it off on my third day at Michael Page.
I had these big, like,
Best thing they ever told me to do.
fake diamond earrings in there,
The
like
big
cubic
stuff,
zirconias, the big
Rubber Islands.
yeah, absolutely.
Accessories.
Okay, so fully accessorised. So I walk into the thing, and this area manager walks into the shop, and she's like, "Take those earrings out." I was like, "Why?" And she's like, "Because it's not part of the uniform policy." I was like, "You're wearing earrings."
Oh, that's what uniform policy.
Yeah, and I was like, "You're wearing earrings." She's like, I'm a woman. I'm allowed to wear earrings." I was like, "Not quite how it works, because."
It was a different time back then, Sean.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the Ross. Yeah, the 5 floor rights for earrings.
But even in some of the recruitment agencies, did you guys have like a uniform policy?
Oh yeah. I
Certain
couldn't wait to
suit?
get out of my suit.
Yeah, what was it?
Long
Grey
way.
or blue suits, weren't it? Like if you wore a black suit, it was.
Well, that, just to identify which company that is. Now we had ties in ours.
Did you?
And we had to wear these. They weren't shit ties. They were lovely ties. Some of them. But there was a bum fight to get the nice ties, and you just ended up with the crap.
I got rejected the first time I applied for Michael Page.
Really?
Because, and this is no lie, because I had a light grey suit on, and the old school director that I interviewed with did not like the light grey suit. I had stubble, which he was like, either shave it or grow a beard. You can't have both. I'm like, I don't think you understand the journey of growing a beard, but okay. And I quote, my black tie was too thin. This wasn't a fashion show. This wasn't the X Factor. Why was he dressed like that?
Oh God.
What about my competencies? What about my sales ability or my understanding of the psychology of sales or B2B sales? And none of that mattered to him, because he literally went, I can't put him in front of a client.
Yeah.
While he sat there in his pinstripe blue suit with his sky blue shirt and his yellow tie, thinking he looked like an accountant.
And you're not going to a client. You go. You know what I mean? You're not going to. You're just going for an interview where you believe this is great to tie for.
Yeah, that's it.
But that constructive feedback. All right. So give me the job. I'll go buy a new suit.
3 years later, I get the job there.
Yeah.
And the first thing I did when we went to we went on like a little visit to like the London office and whatever, found the cunt, went over to him, and I went, You rejected me 3 years ago based on what I was dressed like. And he just looked at me and laughed and he went, these things happen, and walked off, and I was just like, you bastard.
Yeah, but fast forward a couple of years after that. Well, let's say last week. Last week I went out to go see a client, and I had my Michael Sharma Group T-shirt on. I've got like a half sleeve tattoo, and I go there thinking, it's a big corporate and blah blah blah, and they were exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
There was nobody dressed in a suit. There was nobody dressed in any kind of business attire. Yeah, because
what did it for me? Because we tried the whole dressing smart in the office and that kind of thing, encouraging the guys to dress smart, because it was ingrained in us, right? What did it for me was sort of about 3.5 years ago. We run this kind of tech client, right? And this guy is a millionaire. Like, he has got more money than like we would even know what to do with. And I jump on a Zoom call with him, and there I am, and he sat there in the same green hoodie that he's been wearing for 3 days. And he's like, yeah, just do this, yeah, get me that. Great candidate there, that was brilliant. Yeah, no worries, we need to renegotiate your rates. Or weirdly, he was like, I think we need to be paying you guys more because you're doing a better job. And I was like, yeah, happy days. and I got off the call and I was like, mate, if he can sit there, like in a hoodie and just not be arsed and just go business, I've given you half an hour of my day, I don't care what you look like. I don't care what you look like. I'm growing my hair out. Do you know what I mean? And like, I'm wearing hoodies. I don't care anymore.
Can you think about what you would have been told if you had your hair this long?
Could you imagine their face if I walked in with hair like this?
Yeah, mate. Honestly, like, remember that time? Didn't you try and do the top knot thing?
Once
you were there, and they were like, mate, you're gonna have to do something with that.
Yeah, they were like, nah, you need to cut that off. Yeah, because I had it all like in a little man bun thing.
Yeah.
It was only a tiny little man bun, all like an onion. Baby onion.
Like a pickled onion.
Yeah, stuck like it as well.
I remember working for a really small agency once, and I walked in a blue suit, and that was the conversation from the MD for the whole day. I don't like a blue suit. I don't wear a blue suit anymore. It's like, it's not bright blue, it's dark blue, you know what I mean?
Do you know,
but think about your personal branding, Mark.
Yeah.
Like, what will people think of you?
Do you know the thing is though? Like, so I obviously come from a military background, right? So to a certain degree, I get it, right? Because if you got that bit ingrained in you, where it's like, no, what you're supposed to wear is X, Y, and Z, right? You almost then have that element of, I have more time to think about the actual job than I do of what I need to wear. Because then the issue you have is, if you just thought about the people that we had working at these big agencies, they were just arsehole recruiters, right? So you're talking like pinstripe suits, hair slicked back, thinking they're Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah. This is it. They're buying into that kind
image.
of ethos.
Yeah. Which is fine. Yeah. But you're not intelligent enough to work at Wall Street, which is why you work in recruitment, right? And then that's not to take anything away from people that work in recruitment, but let's be honest, the barrier to entry into our industry is so low, so incredibly low, that
we pretend it's not though.
Literally anybody and everybody, and just give
my
everybody
first step into recruitment. It took me 6 interviews, and I still got rejected. I travelled up and down the country.
I think that's because I recommended it. I think if you'd have replied and not mentioned me, I think you'd have got the job day one.
No, but so the first interview I had was in the Cov office, right? That went well. Second interview I had with the regional manager, again, I think it was a Cov or the Leicester office, something like that.
Yeah.
Then they were like, right, now you need to go see the MD. So I was like, alright, Sam. So then I went to go see her in Nottingham. Then they were like, we're just not sure, we're not sure. Had another interview with the regional manager in Leicester. Then they were like, yeah, okay, let's just, one more meeting with the MD. So then it was supposed to be in like Nottingham or Leeds or something, and then they were like, oh no, she's in Manchester.
It was supposed to be Nottingham, and then they were like, oh, she's in Leeds. So you were prepping to go to Leeds, and then they rang you in the morning, didn't they? But actually, she's in Manchester today.
Yeah, so I was like, so I was like, all right, listen, shall I start heading up north, and then when I get further up there, you guys just let me know where you are.
General direction of the north.
Hotel somewhere in Leeds.
Yeah, so I ended up going there, and like I had the meeting with her, and she was like, I'm not sure, blah blah. And then in the end, it was a rejection. I was like, all right, fine, whatever. Continued my journey in car sales, and then she called me again randomly, didn't she? Like around Christmas time, and she was like, look, we liked you before, and she goes, we did want to get you in, but we just didn't think it was the right time because Nitin had only just started, and I think there was another person that was just new as well. So she was like, but look, now we're a little bit more established, why don't you come down? And I was like, is there any point, because we already went through the journey. And again,
how many more offices do you have that I need to go and visit before?
But it was the same thing again, wasn't it? So it was like, bounce around from office to office like a flipping pinball. And got there, and again I'm in front of the same MD, and she's just like, I'm just not sure. I'm like, listen, love, what do I need to do for this to get?
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like you're worried about commitment, or that I'm going to be moving on too quickly, right? But I followed you around the entire country.
What did he mean by that, though?
Oh well,
do you know what I mean? It's like
You're
everyone's
not
in a
allowed to
job
leave.
for 2 or 3 years.
No. You're not allowed to. No. You have to sit in an interview, pretend to your interviewer.
And be here 20 years.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? In exactly the same seat.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years' time? Maybe doing your job because I really want to work.
How
We
do
tell
you-
these guys upstairs all the time, right? We know you guys are going to move on.
Yeah.
We know that. We expect you to, and I'd be pretty pissed off if you didn't, because
If you're here in 6 years' time, I want to know why.
yeah, something's gone wrong. We haven't developed you in the right way.
Yeah.
You know, what we want is, while you're here, you're committed, you're working hard, and you're learning things. And what I want to do is, in 2 or 3 years' time, go, I had this person start with us, and now look where they are. They're doing that. This person started with us, and they've gone on to do this. And have that like pride element of, look, we've helped mould that, because we didn't have that when we were working for people. It was always, what do you mean you want to leave? And then the minute you hand your notice in, that's it. You're like scum of the earth. Nobody talks to you.
You had to beg just for annual leave.
Yeah.
And even then, mate, I remember when again at this agency that we were at, he went on paternity leave. Right? And after 2 weeks of paternity leave, he was like, mate, I want to have another week. I'm enjoying having some time off with like my new baby. And so he messages the manager, and she comes over to me. She's like, "What's going on? Is he leaving?" I was like, "What are you talking?" He's like, "He's having an extra week off with his kid." Okay, but do you know if he leaves, are you going to leave as well? And I'm like, Jesus Christ, like seriously?
Yes.
Yeah, of course we are. In fact, actually, we were interviewed together. I remember we interviewed at a couple of agencies before we ended up leaving there. And one of the interviewers, I went there. It was an agency in Leamington. And really good guys, and enjoyed the conversation and stuff like that. And it was actually one of those where I said to Nick, I was like, this is probably going to be us in a few years' time. And I sat there, had a chat with these guys. They're really, really nice guys. And he was like, you keep talking about like, you and Nick. Like, is this a package deal? Is it like, do we have to get him over for us to get you over? And at first I was giving the whole corporate, nah. That's like, actually, yeah, that is how it's going to work. Yeah, because we do come as a package. And again, that kind of leads me nicely onto the personal brand bit, because our branding as a duo was always so much more powerful than our branding individually. Not to say that Nick didn't have really great relationships with his clients, or I didn't have really great relationship with mine, but as a duo, with all the clients that we work with, it just worked so well. And what tended to happen is we're intelligent enough and don't have the ego to kind of step back when we need to. So there are some clients who love him, and they're just like, he's just that weird guy that has to come with him. But I'll accept
vice
that.
versa.
And I'll accept that. And I'm like, listen, if it's putting money in my pocket, I don't care if I'm the weird guy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's the same with Nick. Like, there's some clients who just warm to me more than they do to him, and we were never of that kind of mindset. Even as temp and perm consultants, do you remember the ongoing battle between temp and perm consultants?
I used to literally referee matches in my office between my temp and perm consultants, and it was always long heads. Oh, she's turned into a 12-week temp to perm, but no, she's turned it from a 12-week temp to perm into a perm position with a huge rebate. And you're like, God,
It doesn't matter.
Would you know how we resolve that? We resolve that as, Sean, I'm struggling with this job. There's multiple agencies, blah blah blah, but I think we can flip it temp. Get a temp in there, have the temp revenue, and when it goes perm revenue sits with me.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
But we took that to the powers that be, and they were like, that's not really fair, is it? I was like, who's that not fair on? Look at how many people are kicking off with each other. You got consultants hiding jobs because they don't want the tempie jumping on. Whereas the reality is the temp consultant should be the one over all those perm jobs, as long as that temp revenue is theirs, and then as soon as that perm fee is invoiced, it goes to the perm consultant.
Mate, we had
because
it to
that's
a point.
fair.
We had it.
Because then what I would do is literally open my book out to him and be like, mate, I'm at final stage of these two. These I haven't even looked at. Get a temp in all of them, because I haven't even had a chance to look at it yet, and I've got 6 jobs lined up that I've BD'd for that I know I'm picking up. Get temps in there, you get the temp rev, and then if they go perm, let's be honest, it's never a 3 weeks or 4 weeks and then it goes perm. The temp tends to end up sticking for a lot longer than until the candidate. Until the candidate kicks off and we're like, oh, I thought this was a perm job, and then go on, then we'll make you perm, right?
But at the same time, we had it the other way as well, where it was just like he would have if I had an abundance of temps at some point. And he was running a lot of jobs. Yeah. He was just like he was like, Sean, mate, I'm really struggling. I've got no pipeline. Yeah. And I'm like, well, actually, these 3 candidates here, they've been temp for ages. So
they're probably ready to go perm. Yeah. I'll put the call in.
Yeah. And it'd be a simple call to the client, which was, listen, these guys have been temp for 6 months. How about we make them perm? And the client, 9 times out of 10, the client was like, oh bloody hell, are they still temp?
They don't realise it, do they?
No, it's not their money, is it?
Yeah, exactly.
No, but that's the kind of thing with kind of this whole personal brand BS, because the personal brand is kind of what they call it, but actually it's what you're doing for your client and your candidate, isn't it? Really, that matters.
But you also with when you see personal brand on LinkedIn, when you see people coming out with the big boys, they then try the personal brand route and fail drastically.
Because it's not like natural.
No.
Yeah, I'm not going to name them because they're still trying to find their feet and stuff. But I've noticed that recently. There's like I can think off the top of my head, I can think of 3 different people who've left big corporate, who all of a sudden are now putting out pictures of their dog and the pictures of them sat on the wherever they're sat. And it's like
start with selfies.
What's wrong with a good selfie, Mark?
Do you know what it is? I'll tell you why we don't like it. Because we're ugly, man.
It is.
If we were good looking, and we were going to get loads of people being like, "Oh, very nice, lovely, lovely picture, lovely, happy birthday," and all that sort of stuff.
Cheap shot, right?
We are ugly. That's why we don't do it. If we were good looking, we would leverage that.
Just good looking at short, we would do it all the time.
We would leverage it.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, not everybody's blessed with. No, but
all of this.
yeah, I don't think it's that. I think the generation of the late 1900s, we never had the cameras for us to be able to take selfies.
That was true.
We had the old disposables that we were like this.
That's a good point. When was the last selfie you ever took?
Accidentally.
yeah, we open the camera and look,
I tell you, the only time I'm in a selfie is when like my missus or like or like
we don't feel comfortable
with it. So I went for lunch with a friend of mine a couple of weeks back, and she took a selfie of us, and I was like, "What do I do?" what you do? What's the face? I'm quite happy to like record on camera and do stuff. But
be natural, but that's not natural.
I'm fully just. I've embraced the duck face. I've just fully like. I accept that. That's what he was.
I think I'll stop being a thing in like 2009 though.
Last podcast you were talking about fax machines. Don't talk to me about 2009.
I just saw them taken out the door. Is that what happened?
That's a bit true, isn't it? Because we've come from a time where we had disposable cameras and stuff like that, or when we used to go out. Do you remember the days of digital cameras? You have to take a digital camera out with you, and you'd be like,
lose it, and then you find it.
I think look, the reality,
and then you look at the memory card. There's like loads of random pictures.
The thing is, if you're like. We take advantage of what we know is going to work, right? We put things out, either whether it's content, blogs, blah blah blah, that we know are going to tickle the algorithm in the right way, tag the right type of people. It's going to go out there. That same mentality applies to those that do take the selfies or the picture of the dog or the nice lunch. It's the same thing. They're using what they're good at to gain the traction. Now let's be honest. If of those 4,000 likes, 3,500 of those are creepy men. That aren't going to buy from you, fine, but there's still 500 that aren't creepy men that are going to immediately associate you with that brand in recruitment or sales, SDR, BDR, whatever it is you do. Do you know what I mean?
But does it though? Because this is my argument towards this, because I've done the soulless post that got thousands of likes and hundreds of thousands, if not 500,000 views. Zero's come from that. No one's come to me with business.
Right. So this is the thing, isn't it? Between direct sales and direct sales and direct marketing, right?
And then when you do a post that's a little bit more kind of towards the grain of what you do, then you get people commenting. It bombs, but you've got like 100 views and you've got 40 messages.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, what is the? And that's why I've moved away from that bullshitty kind of.
So the most successful post I've ever put out, that went relatively viral in that, I think, wasn't it like 100,000 likes or 150,000 likes or something like that, and close to like the 500,000 views and stuff like that. And that was off the back of, I mean, it was weird anyway, when the whole thing was weird, but I got a phone call off this old lady, and
God, where's this going?
Yeah, she basically was lonely. So this old lady
we don't get these phone calls, we're on it.
He's got a lovely face.
So she called and she's like, look, my fella's an accountant. So her husband of however many years is an accountant. And he got made redundant from, was it like the National Audit Office or something like that? So like super public sector.
Job for life kind of thing.
Yeah, like he'd been there like 1.5 million years or something like that. And got made redundant and like he's really struggling to get out of the market. And then she just started giving me the whole thing and just started crying. And I'm like, and this phone call was at like 7:30 at night. At a time where I think me and you had not long set up, so every phone call on the
was
phone,
important. Yeah.
you had to take it, right?
No matter what's going on,
so I'm like, I've got screaming kids in the background, and I'm like, oh my god, that's so terrible. And I just, off the back of it, I was just like, alright, let me just put a little post on LinkedIn. I'll see if I can help the guy out, right? So I was just like, look, LinkedIn, let's kind of all get together here because I've had this lady crying, pulled up my heartstrings, blah, blah, blah. Anybody who wants to interview this candidate, agency, hiring manager, whatever,
Sure.
let's just, just get in touch with me. I'll send the details over, and off the back of that, look, there's no fee from my side. It's just, I just want to help this guy out because I can't have old ladies crying to me on a Friday night, right? And the thing took off, but
We'll clip that.
So, but the thing took off, and off the back of that, we ended up with what 2 PSLs, and we ended up with so many talent acquisition people.
Yeah.
Do you know in terms of recruiters who
you gotta remember that this was nearly kind of what 5 years ago, right? Because since then, that shit happens all the time. Man.
Well, that's that turned into the.
But that was the thing. It was in such a weird infancy that anything that looked different got attention.
This is it.
And now you've got to look even more different.
It's all cyclical though, isn't it? Because now what the oh, this goes viral thing is, oh, I'm going to write about how I get up at this time and then I do this and then I do this and here's a picture of me and my dog.
Did you see the other day when somebody put that up there and it was like, send me a number, I'm going to call you at 4:30 in the morning, see if you're awake. Go and delete this post.
Delete this straight away. It's like, you've got to change your life. And I was like, I'll tell you what, send me your number, I'll call you at 4:30 in the morning. Let's see if you're awake.
I did a post during COVID where I said, these big boys are going to make loads of redundancies. Big agencies are going to make loads of redundancies. And I'll tell you what happened after this post. It went viral, by the way. It was
I remember the post.
Views. Remember, it disappeared off LinkedIn. I can't find it to this day. It had over 1 million views at one point. I had messages. I couldn't keep up with messages, but I had messages from the named agencies I put in that post saying, "We're not making redundancies." And then a week later. All of them were making it, even some of the people in messages.
Which is weird. It's like, listen, I'm just a guy sat in Tamworth writing about you. Like,
why do you care?
Yeah, what the fuck do you care?
Because it got 1 million views.
Yeah.
Because it got so much traction. Because it got all that. But, and off the back of that, the clients to some of these companies that were making huge redundancies were messaging me saying, "Do you want some work next year when we start recruiting again?"
But this
I say no.
Right.
But again, that whole personal brand piece, because when you would have left your big agencies and even the smaller ones, there would have been that voice, same as what it was with us. And I remember we'd not been going long, maybe about 3 or 4 months, right? And we had this relatively mid-level kind of credit analyst role, and.
Oh, there we go, flashbacks.
Oh, mate, honestly, this is hilarious, right? So we had the MD of our business using her work email address, messaged our little chatbot thing.
Yeah, not realising that I can go into the back end of WordPress and see who sent the message.
Yes.
And it was like her initial and her surname.
And she was like,
and her work email address.
Can you tell me more about this job?
You are a moron.
And we look at it and we're like, okay, firstly, we're not a big enough agency at this point for anybody to go onto our website.
Yeah, nobody's using our chatbot.
Yeah, nobody's using it, right?
So whoever is using it, it's from the UK.
No, exactly, right? So straight off the bat, screenshot onto LinkedIn. Look at how hilarious this is, right? Here's now a business who is global. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're talking footsie, right?
Yeah.
And you're worried about little old Nick and Sean, who have got this little rinky-dink tin pot agency that remember they called it a tin pot agency?
Yeah, they called it tin pot agency.
I found it as well. I've had to block some people with it every day looking at my profile. Why are you looking at my profile every day? And it's the people you've worked with, and when I first set up as well, it was for about 2 or 3 years. I had to block them. I had to block the entire business.
Grab a video of you walking in just a towel past the camera and going, like, what you see, speak up. Just keep sending that to them. Every time we do it. You like what you see, speak up. Little creep.
It's bad though, isn't it? Because you look at it and you think you were not promoting the idea of having an individual and them having their personal brand because you wanted it to be very much corporate, turn the corporate line. Yeah. But when they've gone out and done it for themselves and they are using their individual brand, all of a sudden you're trying to do whatever you can to sabotage that. And it's like, we're of that mindset. There's and you're the same as us. Like, there's enough recruitment to go around for all of the guys that are in recruitment. Do you know what I mean?
We have conversations sometimes about.
We throw jobs back and forth to each other.
We filled a couple of jobs.
That's right. Yeah. Because that's just how it. Yeah, I mean, like, but.
Do you remember we were about setting up that consortium?
Oh, should we tell the people about this? That was a good idea. That was a good idea.
But that whole thing was on sort of personal brand as well, because again there was a few people that we spoke to who were like, but my sort of branding is what I'm quite, because you obviously you had your own branding anyway, and that was already out there. there was a couple of people that we spoke to who were just like, yeah, but just what's in it for me and what's my
It wasn't
branding?
about that though, was it? For us, it was about moving. Like you took a package of work and there's a lot of engineering jobs you couldn't deal with. It's like who could deal with this? And you already, if we had a presentation of just bring Mark into this. So
this is a group of individual
this guy can do HR. This guy can do finance.
But if you look at recruitment entrepreneur, do you know the James Caan investment thing?
Yes, I'm aware of it.
Yeah. So they've got that. So we got a call from them a couple of times, and then we end up going out to their offices and seeing it. I mean, they've got a proper big swanky, really nice swanky setup.
It's a good sell as well.
It is.
What they're offering.
But the point is though, for us, because we were one of the first ones that were trying to set up in the Midlands, weren't we? And they were on about, look, we'll get you set up in Cornwall Road, and we were like, well, we live in Coventry, we don't want to be in Birmingham. But we can go to Birmingham. I was like, okay, fine, whatever. Then they were like, but then we'll bring in an IT business, and we'll bring in a HR one, and an engineering, and blah blah blah. And then you guys can all pass jobs between yourselves. And then we talked to each other, and we're like, that is basically recruitment entrepreneur. Recruitment consortium that we were trying to look at in the past. Because I suppose for us, the end goal was always going to be, let's just get a communal office and we can all just sit there and.
I think we were trying to go for the bigger jobs as well.
Try and get on with
the Master
Grid and JLR and so on and so forth. That was the Tartar and stuff like that. Yeah, but look, I think the underlying issue is always though that recruiters just don't trust recruiters.
Yeah,
they just because of so many of them start off in that big corporate world, and
where it is dog eat dog. Dog eat dog is promoted.
Dog eat dog against yourself. Like you're arguing with like the engineering army of your business because they've done this and they've done that and blah blah blah. And, like it's so like competitive within the ranks that they come out and they're like, I hate other recruiters, and like you're trained and bred to like just growl at the other recruiter.
Skeptical of other agencies.
That's it, and it took us a while as well to get out of that mentality because. But then you set up things like the Recruiter's Arms, where actually you get in and you look at it and you think, this is just a bunch of like-minded people, man. They're all they're trying to do is do what we're doing, which is make a living, grow their business, and have a laugh.
And there's still a group of people that do that, and we talk very frankly in there as well. So if anyone doesn't know what the Recruiter's Arms is, 2018 I think it was Tim Chataway, Josh Harrison, who remembers Josh?
He's coming on to this,
and a guy called Shit. Really? I did a podcast with him many years ago. He is a genuinely nice guy.
I'm going to go on record and say I think he'll no-show.
Josh, did you hear that, mate? Josh, don't.
He commented on my post the other week.
Yeah, he's back now. He does the rounds every now and then just sort of gets bored and disappears.
He's a nice guy. Personally, he's a really nice guy. And in LinkedIn land, I think he just gets a lot of trolls, and I think that winds him up. But that's my personal opinion.
But I also think he enjoys trolling.
Yeah.
Who doesn't? That's fun.
So the recruiters are. So we said it years ago. Obviously, these guys all went off and did their own thing, and I kind of just obtained the rights to it. Bought it off Tim, basically. Bought the website.
It was bequeathed to
you. And we still have this Discord group, and we obviously still got our LinkedIn side of it as well. But at the moment, in the background, I'm looking at growing it again and doing something else with it and changing it. But it was always going to be a not-for-profit or no charge to recruiters where people come in and talk about their problems.
But even that's a hard sell, right? RecTools is free. RecTools costs nothing to anybody.
Signing up to it.
It's pissing me off. We get some great traffic, but I get so many people like, so I'll bet your product of the weeks are giving you kickbacks. Like, no. Do you want to know the truth? RecTools is funded for by our recruitment business. That it makes no money whatsoever.
That's the same with the
and will continue to make no money whatsoever. And then people just don't get it. They're like, that doesn't sound very recruitery. Like, no, that's right.
Well, it doesn't need to be that recruitery entrepreneurially.
Do you know where RecTools was born from? Right. We were looking at so many different, unless we went to an expo, we wouldn't know what was out in the market.
Yeah.
So for us, it was a case of, let's create an online expo that is available every single day of the week. And that's what it was. If I want to find a CRM, I'll just jump onto RecTools and look for a CRM. Whereas before, when we were moving between CRMs, it was like, God, what? Remember that one at the expo? Which one was it? Oh, there was this one, there was that one.
Yeah, it was like Vinkiri or something. I don't know. Let me Google it. No, it doesn't come up. Oh, that's got bad reviews. Let me ask Mark, what do you use? Oh, I use the Zoho. Nah, it's not going to write for us though, because we need to make it bigger. Oh, what are we going to do? And then you whack it on LinkedIn, and then all of a sudden you're like, you got have you looked at mine? And you're like, who the fuck are you? Where did you come from? And then you've got drawers and the heads are popping out. Who's CRM?
And you just sit there one Friday afternoon, your phone's going, that's that candidate.
Yeah.
And it's like, hi there, I want to sell you my CRM.
Yeah.
In that voice as well.
Well, it gives you the best.
We integrate with everything, so do they all.
So integrate with Zapier. Not Zapier.
But yeah,
But that's-
people just
that's
don't
kind of-
buy it. They struggle to. But then I suppose the other side of it is those that were using Recruiter's Arms, because I was in the Discord group a little while and stuff, and I found it extremely distracting and had to leave in the end because I was like,
That is
I'm
one of
finding
the
way too much.
problematic issues with
Yeah,
it, is
it
that
just-
I try to, and it's great, it goes quiet for most of the day, which
Yeah.
is fantastic, and then it picks up near the end of the day.
It's almost like something hits the news and it's like, at the time it was like Brexit and all that sort of shit.
Yeah.
And like,
I've had to do
I
that
found
with
it like,
Required, you know,
mhm.
Doherty's, little WhatsApp group. I just stick it
Oh, I
on
don't
you.
even talking about that.
Oh, I've left it.
Have you? Yeah.
No offense to him, there's nothing about him or anything.
No,
I
but
just
just-
can't keep up with.
I got
Yeah,
kicked-
there's
I got
about
kicked
four.
out.
Yeah.
Did you?
I got kicked out
Oh,
because I spoke about rec tools.
oh, good on you.
And because RecWired haven't got an agreement with rec tools, i.e. I don't pay them a bunch of money, I can't plug my shit. And you'll notice in that WhatsApp group, and it's not just him, it's the same with I think it's the Canaries, it's the same with
Who's that? Katie? Is it
Katie Green. Yeah, she
she's-
kicked me out of a Facebook group
Okay.
because again, people were asking about anyone know any decent CRMs, and I've gone, oh hey, yeah, check out RecTools. There's 87 CRMs on there, all reviewed by peers
Yeah.
with genuine reviews that have been verified. Doesn't cost you anything to have a look at them. Help yourselves. And she's gone, yeah, but you know, we haven't really got a commercial agreement. I was like, hey, there's no fucking commercial agreement to make. It's a free fucking resource. Oh, what's the problem? And it was the same with the, it wasn't even Dwalter that gave me the courtesy of messaging me. It was one of his little cronies. And they're like, you know, we've deleted that post, and if you do it again, then we'll have to remove you from the group. And I was like, so remove me from the fucking group then.
Yeah.
Like this whole shit of I'm only going to plug shit that pays me.
Well,
Like, this is the
it's a
thing.
common pod, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah, that sort of stuff. I hate that sort of stuff but then that's what's wrong with like LinkedIn and the recruitment world is everybody's got this like, what's in it for me then? What's in it for me then? And what I found with the Recruiter's Arms was actually everybody in there. I was like, oh, there are people like me. There are people who just like genuinely
There is
just
nothing in there for
enjoy
anyone.
the bants. You know what I mean?
Yeah, enjoying the banter. It's like having an office, a virtual office
Yeah.
where you talk shit.
Yeah.
But mostly about the
Do
problem.
you know, the thing is though, that comes down to that kind of the Simon Sinek book of Starts With Why, where it's like, why did we start Rectals? It wasn't because we were trying to make profit, it wasn't because we were trying to turn it into a thing, we started it because, as recruitment business owners,
we found a problem in the market.
Yeah, we established that if we wanted to go somewhere centrally to find a load of stuff, we can't do it.
Yeah.
And therefore we created it. Same with like Rec Dev. I mean,
Do you know
we've,
how
we've
many
got...
people have reached out though for RecTools? They're like, oh yeah, can we put together like a commercial agreement where you know you recommend our stuff over others and like you push and I was just like, no, I don't want to do that.
Do you know what you said about like where's the money in it? I never forget a manager from a recruitment business. And I'm trying to remember which company it was to give you an idea.
You
of
wouldn't say
size.
it anyway.
I won't say the name, but I'll give you an idea. Of size. It's a medium-sized recruitment business based in Birmingham with only one site, so it doesn't really help.
Search consultancy.
Yeah. No. Sorry, guys. I never forget this message. If I could dig it out, I'll send it to you. I never forget this message. He basically said to me, "Where the fuck is money in making videos? You're wasting your time." And I'm like, okay.
Why did that bother him so much? As if you're paying you.
It's not even like your friend, or anything. It's just like, what's this guy making money? You're a fucking idiot.
Where do you get that motion within yourself to go on your computer and send that type of message
Where
about
did you
someone
get the
else's
bottle to do that?
And I was like telling this to a few people, and they said, I think he's either mentally ill, really jealous of what you're trying to achieve, and then I asked myself, where is he now? Actually,
Yeah.
it's like, where is he now? He's nowhere on LinkedIn, right?
Probably had a nervous breakdown.
I hope so.
You caused a nervous breakdown, Mark. But that's like, it's mad, isn't it? People get so pent up about like, oh my god, you're doing this. But do you know why? Because what will probably happen is he'd probably have consultants who are working for him that are sitting there going, why can't we do videos? Why can't we do
I
that?
had that with Jack McManus. So before Jack moved to Matchmaker, he was
You mean
Jack
Jack commenting for each McManus?
commenting for each.
Did I meet Jack with you guys?
Yes,
Yeah,
great guy. So he was working at an agency, Venn Group.
Oh, I remember.
It was Venn Group, wasn't it? Yeah.
No, it wasn't. It was after Venn Group.
I'm sure it was
Where
Venn,
was that?
because Ryan was still there.
No. It was that one that he moved to before he set up where he is now.
Yeah. Quite. I will confirm. But so
Pull up Jack McManus's LinkedIn.
So Jack put out something like recruiting for a credit controller in Wolverhampton, blah blah blah. You know, reaching out to my network for this.
Yeah.
So I comment.
By the way, there might be a different Jack.
Yeah. So
Jack's my son's called Jack.
And so I commented on it going, and for those not interested in Jack's vacancies, I too am looking for a credit controller in this area of Birmingham. paying this. So reaching out to Jack's network for people interested.
Yeah.
He messages me.
Woodrow
Mercer.
Mercer,
Yeah. So he messages me and goes, mate, that is hilarious. Like that's really funny. I was like, you don't mind, do you? And he's like, no. I get what you guys are about. This is the sort of shit you do. I find it engaging and funny. It's really funny.
But that post was engaging though, because people were commenting like,
because people find it funny.
Well, you know, they got.
And they're like, hang on, they're not even in the same team. They're competitors. What's going on? Like, ha. I get a message from my old manager who was working there at the time saying, mate, it's kicking off in the office. What? Jack's just been pulled into a meeting and he's being bollocked at because you put that on and they're telling him to delete it and he won't delete it. And then I get a message from like what
some
was
girl,
like divisional manager or some bullshit saying, I think it's highly unprofessional what you're doing, blah blah blah. Like, you know, it's just stupid and disgraceful.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you're like,
a few of those messages.
And I was just like you've missed it completely, haven't you?
But the point is that don't put anything out on social if you're not prepared for the backlash. I had it recently.
Everything is it can be commented on. Everything.
I had a pretty no, not famous, but he's known in the LinkedIn world in terms of marketing, like recruitment and stuff like that, right? And he put something out where he name dropped a candidate in his post and be like, listen, I'm trying to get hold of you for fucking ages, and you're like, I've got the job that's perfect for you.
It was very 50-50. I thought it was really funny. If he knew enough about the candidate to know that the candidate would like it.
Yeah.
So someone was like, that's a bit fucking shit.
but it wasn't even that I thought it was shit. It was just like, all right, if you're going to put something as kind of dry as that, prepare for the podcast that comes with it. And I tagged the candidate in, and I was like, pure Jeffrey Dahmer vibes here, love. Don't get in touch with him. And it was meant in exactly the same way that he put the post out, which is just like, listen, this is going to land either really funny or not. So I said that as like pure Jeffrey Dahmer vibes, and I get an immediate DM like, mate, comparing me to a paedophile serial killer just isn't on. And I'm like, if I called you a dickhead, that people wouldn't automatically think, that guy must have a penis on his head, right? People
said it. It wasn't true.
But it's not.
Everybody's reading this message going,
that guy's a serial killer.
He's a serial killer.
His head.
But this one, I was like, nobody's reading that thinking you're a serial killer, right? It's like, chill out.
Either that was a really good serial killer and that was family.
Well, yeah, I mean,
well, you didn't say that. You was like, "Oh, have I touched a nerve?" Put something like, "Have I touched a nerve? I'm a little bit too close to the truth or something." And then he was like, "No, don't try and be smart about it." I was like, "Listen, mate, chill out. Nobody thinks you're a serial killer. I'm sure you're fine." Yeah, and if anyone does approach you on that, just forward them to me, and I'll confirm that you want to. Yeah. In the end, he ended up taking the post down anyway, didn't he?
Yeah,
because it was actually like damaging to his personal brand. Because loads of people were like, "Nah, you're the dickhead that did that. That was out of order."
But sometimes it goes in their favour as well. Do you remember that girl who did a BD call that jumped in the sea? Do you remember that one? There was a video.
Yeah, she was like,
"How long is this?"
Oh, it was years ago.
4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah, it was years ago.
Oh, maybe 3 years ago. So she was like, hey Joe Blogs, I've been trying to get hold of you for the last 3 months, and this is my name, this is where I work for, and then she just jumps in the sea. She's a very attractive girl, don't get me wrong.
Was it an umbrella company or something?
I can't remember what it was. She was a recruiter.
Was it?
Yeah.
I thought it was an umbrella company trying to reach a recruiter or something like that.
Off the back of that, there was loads of people commenting on it, and I did a video of me basically searching for swimwear, so I was like DD swimwear, and I did a video on that as well. And loads of it. Anyway, at the end of it, she said after loads and loads of people commenting and loads of people doing parodies and stuff like that, the guy got reached out.
But
so
I did it. Do you remember that time, like when I wrote an advert and I tagged Mitch Sullivan into it, right? And I know, so I tagged Mitch into it, and I was like, "Go on then, Mitch, take this advert apart," because this is
the time where he was taking job adverts and
he was just shredding them,
putting them on his page and going, "Look at the ridiculousness here," and blah blah blah.
So I then put this advert out, and it was a decent enough advert, and I tagged Mitch Sullivan into it, and I was like, "Go on then, Mitch, I dare you to tear this one apart," just goading him into it, right? Knowing that all of the Mitch Sullivan brigade are going to come in and they're going to start commenting like, what about? But they're all like, well, what about me? Can I tag it? I was like, go for it, engage. And everybody was tearing it apart, and they were all going through it. And what they didn't realise was there were so many accountancy and finance recruiters in there commenting on it, showing people the advert.
And there you go. And this is where people need to understand that bit.
But Mitch picked up on that, because I remember Mitch was.
He's very.
I think he jumped on a call with him, and And he was like,
He knows how.
that was very, very, very cleverly done.
Yeah, he knows how.
Like they were all just sharing your post for you,
Yeah.
and we're like, we're not dumb.
But this is the thing, because a lot of
It's marketing, baby.
and this is it. It's
Jazz hands.
but it's no like how to play the system in a way. But there were so many, and what they thought they were really getting to me by like tearing the advert apart. I was like, well, I don't care how shit the advert is or not, right? But
But did you really write a shit advert, or did you write the
He wrote a genuinely good ad. No, a lot of them was scraping the barrel,
Yeah.
like really scraping the barrel, right?
even Mitch, when he
And,
called me, he was like, actually, to be fair, he's like,
he goes,
he goes, there can be improvements put onto it, but he goes, it's not all in, it's not a bad advert. And
If you ever do a Mitch Sullivan's course, I found it not about writing better adverts. I found it about having the confidence to write better.
wait, so do you know
And that's what I got
my
from it.
adverts at one point, because we now use Ad Builder for all of our guys upstairs. It just saves them a bunch of time. Just put in a bunch of details, and it's not that expensive. Plug there for Ad Builder, guys.
the job advert tools are available.
Put the price up on the screen.
Yeah, just
have
Only
the
$2.99
$2.99 apparently.
yeah.
Rector. Your discount.
Yeah.
But before we were on Ad Builder, I was really getting into the creative writing thing. I mean, one of my adverts featured a platypus, Beyonce, and something else, and that got loads of attention. And people were just like, people were calling in at that time, weren't they? Because we were at the old office.
They were like, oh, so you're a really creative advert. I remember like thinking at the time, well, this just isn't sustainable. Like you can't sit there and like blast out these sorts of adverts all day long.
It's difficult.
It's
I've
hard.
had people phone me up and say that advert talk to me, and I was
Yeah.
like, that's how I wrote it. So it'll talk to
Yeah,
me.
well, this is
and,
it.
And that's, but that takes an hour and a half of. I don't know what I'd say.
Just
Yeah.
pointing
I vet
that.
the client.
Yeah.
I know what the job is, but you're sitting in front of a machine for 8 hours a day. What can I say here? Have you got a good book?
How comfy is your chair?
Yeah. It's like-
The lighting in your office.
and you do go down that kind of route, right? Some adverts like that.
And it is like you enjoy
But
it.
Mitch has got me to do that, though. By the way, he's given me that thought. Right, you don't have to do it like this, Mark. You can do it like this.
It's funny. I've never heard anyone say anything bad about his course.
It is really good. I will admit.
Look, the guy's
If you
clearly
quote Mark
talented.
Hopkins, you get a discount.
The guy's clearly good at what he does, right?
Yeah.
And my only objection, and we've invited him onto the podcast, so Mitch,
because of- yeah.
the gauntlet's out there for you, mate. So,
Snip this bit and give it to me.
yeah. But the thing for me is like my thought process is if somebody wants to apply for a job, right, they're going to apply for it regardless. Doesn't matter what the advert says. If the salary, the location, and the general gist of the jobs, what they want to do, they'll apply.
Yeah.
And you do when you write a creative advert, you do speak to a very small minutiae of candidates who will only apply for a job that is really speaking to them.
Yeah.
But
Where Mitch comes from and how he kind of says it, well, this is from my kind of own words, is there are a lot of passive people looking at jobs at the moment.
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
are looking for that next thing. When they pass through hundreds of these jobs, they will find a job that you have written, that you put some energy into writing,
but
that says something slightly different to all the others, that make them go, oh, actually, I'm going to have a chat with Sean about that and see what.
but what's the first thing they look at before they even get to that advert?
Salary, obviously, yeah.
Salary,
Well,
title, and
title,
location.
because
that's the header.
It doesn't give you when you're on Total Jobs or Reed or whatever.
And that's the
it's
problematic
just,
issue with it.
Yeah.
But when you could take that and put it onto LinkedIn or put it into social
Yeah.
media world, and you could sell it the way
Yeah.
it should be sold in my humble. You got Will coming on soon, Will Grassoff.
Yeah.
Right? I did a podcast with him, awesome guy. You look at what he's done with his business and how they're selling their jobs now. It's very personal. It's like, I know who I'm speaking to. Right?
Yeah.
I can
But
visually see that guy now, and that brings in a different type of guy.
That's almost where I thought you were going to end up, in that sort of space where, do you know, like, because when you were doing your videos were always so well edited and really creative, and I used to love the bloopers and stuff like that. They were hilarious.
The bloopers are great.
Yeah. But my thought was like, because I always said to you, it's like, I think where Mark is probably going to end up going is just advertise his jobs in that platform, in that
I
format.
tried, it didn't work.
No?
I don't know what it is about engineers and kind of the manufacturing world. It's not quite there yet in that kind of way of doing it. They will look at Indeed and they look at JobSite and Reed and my website and LinkedIn, and they'll trawl through it. But they're still, I think, visually, I don't think they're quite there in advertising jobs. I think they like to read about things because they're analytic guides anyway, and they like to kind of process that information, then come back to it. Whereas if you're, I don't know what accountants are like, but if you're a salesperson, a video is like, oh, that's quite appealing. Let's have a little chat about
So
that.
we when the video after the first lockdown, we were in here, weren't we? And that's when we officially moved to this office. And at that time, what was that site we used to use? It was like an Oddro thing, but it was just free.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, Soapbox or Loom.
Yeah, Soapbox. That was it. Yeah, Soapbox.
Vistia.
So we used to use Soapbox, and I used to just do a load of video BD, and I just put out a, hey, look, I know that you guys recruit for this, blah blah, and I just send that out, and the accounts responded to that relatively well because it was slightly different. However, if you look at so we've got the guys in warehouse, construction, and engineering, and all that sort of stuff. They just don't take to it.
There's a story about that, by the way. Another reason why I didn't do it, I got sent by an engineering manager, one of my clients, a video that had been sent by a Birmingham-based recruitment where they did this, I don't know, Audra or interview, whatever it was, video to them, and he said, "This is fucking awful. This is terrible. Look at there's people in the background picking their nose and." Just chatting away.
Yeah, you've got to look at production quality.
Yeah,
this is the problem that I have with the sort of the video tech that's out there. I've had a couple of demos of and stuff. It's a great piece of kit.
Yeah.
But if you're not naturally good on camera, and if you're not naturally like an eloquent person with how you pronounce things and enunciate, it looks dreadful.
I've managed,
especially if you've got the blur in the background, but there's still people walking past and just about to get back in, get in the scene and then go off again and stuff. You can't stop people from doing it.
Well, it's like in some recruitment offices as well. People are shouting and swearing.
Yeah.
And I've known some people slam a phone down, going, "Oh, you effing F," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like you're on a video.
So give me a call.
Yeah, you can re-record it and everything like that. But there's sometimes you're so focused you don't pick up on people.
The key is what everyone's trying to do is the differentiation factor, right? Because
by doing that, they're making themselves the same as everybody else.
No, but this is right. But that happens though. That happens over time because there was one person at some point on YouTube and went like, "Don't forget to like and subscribe."
Yeah.
And somebody heard that and went, "That's fucking brilliant. I want to use that." And then everybody started using it. And now most influencer YouTube videos end with, "Oh, don't forget to like and subscribe."
Yeah.
And then Stephen Bartlett mentions it in his talk, where he's just like, "You've got to change your call to action. You've got to be different because if you say the same shit, it becomes background noise to everybody." And that for me is what happened with video content on LinkedIn. It just became background noise.
Yeah.
People were switching off I remember videos are circulating like, "Here's how you turn off the autoplay on the videos because I know everybody's getting annoyed with them." And you scroll through and every time it's a different recruiter telling about a fantastic opportunity that they've got as a purchase ledger clerk, and you're like, "Fucking what is going on here?"
I wanted to take my video and podcast it may still happen actually, into a direction where I take it to the clients' offices and I record.
Go on the road, yeah.
Basically a recruitment video for them. It's very hard to do. You won't believe the amount of people who don't want to do it.
People aren't comfortable in front of the camera. I've had 3 guests, so we booked in 10 that grew to 15 over this weekend. I've had 3 pull out because they've thought about it and they're just not comfortable in front of the camera.
And their pull out game is really strong.
And their pull out game is really strong.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Whenever I did podcast, there was I think I booked about the similar amount pulled out.
Yeah, people.
But I've had people record and then pull out after recording
because they just don't think they come across well.
Yeah. And you watch it and go, hey, everyone comes once you get going in a conversation.
We don't give a shit. We don't care what we look like, what we sound like. Yeah.
Sometimes my first
cheap shot again.
My first proper this type of podcast, I travelled all the way down to London to meet Antonio from Antonio Talks. Remember he did a recruitment website where he rated recruitment agents.
Guguini or something like that.
Yeah, apologies Antonio. Yeah. You probably watched this. Lovely guy.
Leo or something else. And
that's it.
I can't keep track of what that guy does.
And I don't know what he does. I went to a lovely.
Is that not offensive?
A lovely office in London.
Because I said no offence.
That was my first kind of proper podcast. And it is daunting. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Doing a proper face-to-face podcast.
But we thought about that when we shot the pilot. We were like, how do we come across? What do we do? And then once we got going, similar to this, once we got going, it was just like it's just a conversation with a mate, really, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. That's what it is.
How I explained it was because my wife was saying, she was like, "Well, you've had no formal training, and how are you going to do it?" And blah blah blah. I was like, "Listen, Chloe, me and Sean have made a living out of going to like a client meeting."
Yes.
And be it a CFO, a CTO, a CMO, be it somebody who's into golf, somebody who's into cycling, somebody who's into cats, and make a fucking meeting happen for an hour where we've both been engaging and talking about. If I can't do that with people that I know that are in our industry that I like, then like something's wrong.
My in-laws comic because we used to go out like for meals with their friends and stuff like that, and I'd be sat there chatting to an old guy that I'd never met before, and I'd be having this really engaging.
Yeah.
And my mother-in-law goes, "God, you can talk to anyone, can't you?" And it's like,
Yeah.
this is recruitment.
Yeah,
this is what we do.
This is what I do for a living. Yeah.
My wife says
This
to
is
me all the
what
time,
pays
she's
the
like,
bills.
Tell me about your life. I mean, and this is where we naturally
Probing
go into
question.
naturally go into podcasting. I think it's a natural thing for
this,
us.
my wife says to me, she's like, you can have a conversation in a dark room by yourself, can't you? And I'm like,
I do.
yeah, all the time. But this is it, though, isn't it? It's just, I think it's a level of kind of, for me, genuine curiosity as to kind of what's going on with people and
Yeah,
what they're like.
I find people fascinating.
If you had to capsulate what a recruiter is, I think it's that personality, isn't it? Really, it is that being able to.
But that's
talk
what
to
makes the really great recruiters, though, isn't it? I mean, like,
Not
you
everyone
know,
can do it.
so if you know more about your candidates than what, let's say, the other agencies that they might be working with, or you know, like I've got clients where I've had conversations with their kids. Do you know what I mean? Like she's been in the car, she's like, "Oh, I've got kids in the background." The kids have said hi, and all of a sudden you're just having a chat.
Yeah.
And we've got clients and candidates that we work with where they know our birthdays, or they'll send stuff out to us, and you go beyond kind of that professional relationship.
And this brings me back to my point, right? The barrier to entry into recruitment is so incredibly low. We take for granted what we can do naturally, other people just cannot do. I had a member of staff who had managed to get a meeting with the finance director, and while she was on her way back to the office, the finance director called me and said 2 things. Number 1, do not ever send her back in my office again. And number 2, when she does get in, can you ask her why she sat on the edge of her chair with her coat on, with her legs facing the fucking door? And I was like, good meeting then, yeah? And he was just like, mate, honestly, don't do that again. Next time, if you can't come. He's like, next time, if you can't come, because I had to like stay in, well, political reasons I had to stay in the office. He's like, next time, if you can't come, we'll just rearrange. Please don't send me a junior member of staff again. And I was like, look, really sorry, you know, she's new, blah, 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 put the phone down. That girl had been working for the company for 4 years. That was not her first client meeting. And I'm like, what the hell was that? Barrier to entry is no, because we take for granted how good we are at what we do, and we assume that we're level pegging. And we try and explain this to the guys upstairs. What we're training you to do and how we're training you to recruit is to stand out against your competitors. If you think that the client's going to be annoyed and you ringing them up and saying, look, I'm struggling to find the right person for this job, and if you think that client's going to get annoyed with you, you're wrong. Because I'll tell you what, none of the other agencies are doing that.
No.
Because all the other agencies do what you're doing, which is burying your head in the sand, and just hoping that a new candidate will land on your
I
lap.
sent a Friday email to my client saying, sorry, no luck this week, apologies. That's it.
That's all you need.
Always come back and say, don't worry about it, don't worry about it, we know how hard it is. And
that's it.
But you're doing that one, this is why I always say to anyone in recruitment, do one thing different to everyone else. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
Marginal differences. Right then, well, we're going towards the end now, so we want a closing thought from you. For all the crap that we've
Do you remember Jerry Springer back in the late 1900s?
Yeah. I want to start ending the podcast with, and on that bombshell.
Pretty sure there's some sort
Are
of.
you going to do like that reasonable car on the car park kind of?
Yeah, but it won't be a reasonable car. It'll be my Range Rover. Or the Porsche.
Yeah, rolls like anything.
Neither of which will work properly.
had to throw in the Range Rover and the Porsche.
I work hard for my shit.
Right, I'm on a van.
I like your van, mate. Yeah. What was that? 8-seater, 9-seater?
9-seater, and because we do a lot of camping, I take the last row of seats out, and you can fill it up to the top, surfboard.
So we're on about getting one of them between me and my father-in-law, because we got up to the Lake District quite a lot.
Yeah,
which one is it?
It's a Citroen Space Tourer, and we call it Buzz, and it's got a Buzz Lightyear sticker on the back of it. And a few other stickers on the back of it. So.
I bought a Range Rover not long after he bought his, and then I ended up buying a 7-seater because apparently I just mass-produce kids. And,
I'm on number 2, so that's staying.
Right. Well, just for the general public, if you want a final thought, there's a little deep insight into my personal life. I went and had a vasectomy, which failed. And now I have a third kid.
Book mine for next year.
Yeah, mate. Apparently they don't work all that well.
Why is this such a normal thing? Why? My wife tried to get me to do it because she always does this thing where I'm like, oh well, you know, Sean did that for Lauren, so you should. And I'm like, I'm not having a vasectomy, and also he had a vasectomy and then she got pregnant, so don't even.
And I was written off for like 10 days. Anybody that tells you it doesn't hurt, they're wrong.
Oh, it fucking kills.
Yeah, mate. Honestly, so like it's a weird sensation anyway, right? But
someone tickling with your giblets and then.
Yeah, well, there's just a lot of pulling and tugging going on that you can feel. And but then once
I'm just going to phone my doctor.
once the drugs wear once the drugs wear off,
I'll just wear more condoms.
every time you stand up, it's like a fresh kick to the nuts. for about 10 days.
Oh,
Mate, I was expecting to be back in the office the next day or something, weren't I? Everyone's like, yeah, you'll be fine, you'll be fine. No, I was at home for 10 days. I was like, I'm not,
right.
I
Can
can't
you
do
send
this.
me this clip to my wife?
Yeah.
There are better
Mrs.
ways.
Mark, there are better ways to prevent this.
Brilliant. Well, listen, thank you so much for
No, thank
coming
you for
on.
having
As always, you're welcome to come back anytime.
Yeah, don't be a
We'd love to have you
stranger.
back.
I'll just walk in halfway through one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you might as well.
That'd
You
be
might as
great,
well.
yeah.
We'll be having sort of quarterly
Megacasts.
yeah, what we'll call it megasodes, where we're trying to get a few different guests in, and me and Sean will kind of slip out and let the guys
Fight.
choose the fat. So
Basically,
we'll fight, yeah. So
it's going to be things like internal versus
yeah.
agency
Give
or
me a list of
investment
your
funding.
recruitment enemies, and we'll try and get one or two of them on.
Yeah, I've got a fair few.
Yeah.
No one hates me, though.
No, as I said, as we started this podcast,
Should we try and get Bobby singing?
everybody's LinkedIn best friend.
Do you reckon we should try and get Bobby singing?
Nah, fuck that guy. Right, on that one, thank you very much for listening, guys, and we'll see you guys again, right?
Hopefully, yeah. Like and subscribe.
Don't forget to like and
And
subscribe.
only for $2.99. Oh, madness.
That was good.
Thank you, mate. No, that was good. It's amazing when you start and you think,